Hi everyone. So we are at class 11. We're going to be finishing writing up our reports. We're going to be talking about the presentation and also a little bit about academic and behavioral assessments from your reading for this week. That's just our agenda. So on activity 7, I've gone through and done some preliminary grading. So we're going to talk about how to make that section a little bit better. And then for assignment 8, I'm asking you to pick one additional test that you did not administer to your student, but that you would like to, and you don't have to administer it based on the chapter on academic assessments. And then I want you to give me specific reasons why you chose that academic assessment. And then on page 198, there's a behavior assessment. I just want you to complete the checklist. Just let me know yes or no for each one of the questions. Then we're going to be working on writing the last part of our assessment report, including the progress monitoring using like the CBM steps from the IRIS module. And collaboration and reflection. We'll talk about peer editing. So we're going to describe the process that you're going to use when you get someone else's paper next week to edit. And then the feedback is what I like about peer editing and what would make it a more beneficial experience for me and my colleagues. So I want you to think about that before we get to class. So the academic assessment, so in the Overton reading, we read a whole lot about, it was basically listed out all these different academic assessments. So we of course learned about the WJ4 and the Wyatt 3, but you can see that there was a whole lot that we haven't learned about. So I want you to pick one of these that you would, think about might be helpful for your student. So for example, this one is a writing assessment. So if you were interested in the writing of one of your students, and maybe the towel would be a good one. And you could say that you were using it to get more information about the specific writing needs that they had in sentence structure, word choice, etc. Then for the behavior assessments, once again, they gave us a whole bunch of more behavior assessments and important things to know as you're assessing behavior. And I just wanted you to go to the one page, and there's a checklist, and that's what you need to do for that on page 198. So they also talked about the different rating scales and structured classroom observations. These are really helpful things. I just wasn't sure if we would have time because we had to front load so much at the beginning of the semester. So hopefully you're getting this in other classes, but you also know where to find this information in your textbook if you want to review it and improve your skills later on. So we're going to go now that you guys have had a stab at explaining your scores and your information using the results from your assessments, we're going to go a little bit more into that tonight. And as I mentioned, we're going to be doing the peer editing, and just, these are the things that you're going to be looking for in your peers' writing to make sure that they're there. And just to kind of put in your head about progress monitoring. So this section of your report is really focused on how you will monitor your students' progress towards making their suggested IEP goals. What measurements will you use? Who's going to be responsible for documenting and reporting it out to the IEP team? When and how often will the progress be reported? Where will the information be stored? What will you do if the student improves, struggles, or stays the same? So remember, these are all the things that we learned about when we talked about response to intervention and tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 supports. We learned about this also when we did the curriculum-based measures IRIS module, where it talked about the multiple steps of progress monitoring. So that's what I'm looking for in that section. And then on collaboration. So remember, collaboration is two-sided. So they give something, you get something. And this is just a list of different people you might be collaborating with. And just to remember that, your student's education isn't solely your responsibility. You need to reach out. You need to make a plan on how you'll collaborate and work with other people, what they'll be doing, what you'll be doing, etc. So that is the next section of your report. And then the final section is your reflection. And this is thoughtful response as about the process from the teachers, administrators, students, and families' perspective. So what went right while you were doing this? What went wrong? What will you do differently next time? Who should you work closer with next time? Where can you go for support in the future? And any other thoughts that you had about your experience of writing your assessment report. As I mentioned at the beginning of the semester, this is something that you can actually bring to a job interview. And at the end where, you wouldn't hand off an assessment report with a reflection on there, but you would show an administrator, a principal that you were interviewing with that, yes, your assessment report isn't perfect, but these are the things that you learned from it and how you plan on going forward. They are truly looking for your ability to critically reflect on your practice. And that will most likely get you hired if you can do that. So that's what this section's for. And then we're also I just wanted to go over your final presentations, which I'll go over more also next week, but your final presentations are all on your process. So it's not really going through and talking about everything. So this would be maybe 1 to 2 minutes. This would be maybe 3 minutes. And this would be, we'll say, 2 minutes. So you can see that your final report will be, about 8 to 10 minutes long. It's not that long. And then your PowerPoint that goes with it, which I'm going to give you a template for, it really is just a guide to kind of be behind you while you're reporting out. You're not going through and reading a PowerPoint or anything. And then also I just wanted to touch on feedback that is both written and verbal. So this is, remember, for the activity this week, I'm really asking you about talking about your feedback process. So feedback is written and verbal. It's critical and complementary. Everyone provides it. So not just one person speaking for the whole group. What does good feedback look like? It's specific, helpful, enlightening, kind of I hadn't thought of that. It might give resources or experience, and then also some sort of guide on what to do with that feedback. For this class, your final report isn't due until 24 hours after our last class, or actually it's 2 days after our last class. And so that's to give you time to make any last minute changes that you might have seen or thought about as you were presenting in class. And then finally, what's next? So next week, by the 29th, you need to turn in activity 8 and print out your final report of your draft for peer editing. And then on the 30th, you will be doing the peer editing. And then we'll also, while you're editing each other's papers, I'll be pulling you out individually to meet with me. And we'll talk about grades, assessment skills and abilities, and feedback. And then week 13, you're going to be reading chapter 11 and 12 and completing a post-secondary transition presentation, PowerPoint, sorry. And then you will, which I'm giving you a template for, and then you'll also be doing activity 9. And then week 14, we're going to be giving those post-secondary transition presentations. Week 15, we'll be doing our final assessment report presentations and evaluate each other's. And then your final assessment report is due on the 22nd. As always, please let me know if you have any questions.